Billboard and Variety here at CES. And last but never ever least is Ted Cohen, who knows everybody. So if you don't know Ted, then I don't know, you got to know Ted. So we're here to talk about CES 2013 and some of the interesting, wacky, disruptive things that we saw here. And I'm gonna kick it off with a question for everybody about what did you think was the most interesting piece of technology here at the show? What piece of technology did you wish you could just take home with you? Chris?
Okay, sorry, I didn't catch that. I'm going to have to go with Samsung's OLED set. I've been lusting after that since last year. The ability to watch two programs at the same time with the headphones and the separate glasses. It's just something it's an incredible piece of technology, and I can't wait to get to afford it.
You know, Chris, it's interesting. That set, the use case that they suggest, which is I sit on the couch and watch a football game while my girlfriend sits on the couch and watches a movie, that's not a use case that's really going to play out. But the real use case is a two-person shooter game where I'm seeing full screen my perspective and you're seeing full screen your perspective. That set is unbelievable.
And Sony's already doing something like that with their 3D monitor they put out for the PlayStation 3.
Mm-hmm. It's great.
And I'd say I'd like to drive off the lot with one of the Ford Autos that's going to have the open platform for developers, because it would be pretty nice to have a nice range of streaming services in the car. The other irony being that as a futurist and strategic consultant, I'm actually seeing devices at CES that the public isn't, what's going to be innovations for 2014 and 2015. And I'm sitting here hanging my head in sorrow because we're seeing all these streaming apps and connectivity on TVs that studies are showing people can't use because they're incredibly difficult and dumbfoundingly confusing. And we're seeing some that are actually going to solve those problems. Unfortunately, we're a year out. So I would have liked to take a few things, but I think security would have jumped me.
Well, I'm surprised that no one voted for the Happy Fork. Did you guys see the Happy Fork?
No.
I missed that one.
But do you want to take that home with you and be reminded of how much
it's pretty fun.
you're forking out?
What is it?
It is, okay, so we'll move on to the wackiest thing that you saw at CES.
I was going to say, no, on things I want to take home, though, I would agree the Samsung set was great. There's a new technology from DTS that's doing 11.1 surround through headphones. That was unbelievable. Wow. I'd love to be using it right now. There's also Jabra had some great stuff at their booth that they were demoing some new headphones that had a Dolby, basically like an SRS wow circuit that literally made the music pop. I heard some really great audio stuff. Boombotics had some great stuff. And then Hyundai was demoing what they call Blue Link for the car. It was their version of Microsoft Sync. And they had SoundHound connected through Pandora, connected through everything else. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, great. I saw something that was pretty good at the iLounge, and it was being able to stream your music off your iPhone and to two simultaneous speakers. And I think that there's a huge technical challenge to that, and this is, I think, the first time it's ever happened. It's called Sound Freak. And the problem with having two devices is sort of linear. You can stream to one speaker, but being able to wirelessly stream to both speakers simultaneously, because there's such a lag with Bluetooth, and being able to have it sound really nice was, I think it was a good little technical feat. But let me tell you about the Happy Fork. It's a connected fork. It has a sensor in it that gauges how fast you're eating. So if you're eating too fast, it's like mother. It starts to zap you. You can feel it zapping you if you're moving too fast. But I think that was interesting because it connected with their line of fitness application or fitness devices. It's like a little Fitbit that you wear, and so it's the first company that kind of connected the eating portion of it with the exercise portion of it. in a sort of unified way. But it would, I mean, I think the implementation was a little wacky. Having a connected fork that's uploading data about how fast you're eating is a little strange. I don't know if that's going to fly. So the second question I had for you was, what do you think was the most disruptive tech that you saw here at CES? It doesn't have to be hardware. It could be software. It could be platforms. It could be anything. Ted?
Disruptive. I didn't see anything that was incredibly disruptive. I think things are less and less disruptive, and they seem to be a little bit more additive to the experience. I mean, a lot of focus on second screen apps. There were second screen music apps. There were second screen sports apps. Slingbox was doing an interesting thing. They've done a partnership with Audible Magic. So instead of using things like Shazam or SoundHound to listen through your tablet, it's actually listening through the audio signal chain on the Slingbox. So you're getting a more accurate recognition. But I didn't see anything that was, there were articles coming out the other day that, Barry Diller raised another $38 million to upset everybody with the antenna initiative. But I didn't see anything on the floor that, as a former label guy or content guy would, make me lose sleep.
Scott, how about you?
Scott, I think you're muted.
Scott, I can't hear you.
We're back.
I think
we're back.
Sorry.
You were muted. You were muted.
Must have been my wife's doing. But
okay.
No, so I have to say, almost the most interesting thing there was what you didn't see, because you have all these chip makers like AMD and Qualcomm who are building more power and performance into tablets, smartphones, even TVs now, and all these things are quickly approximating the kind of power that you would expect from traditional computers. So I don't think people quite realize just how much that's going to disrupt the continuum. When you do have that much power at your fingertips, you've got apps on everything, streaming content, free content, and of course, because you have smartphones and tablets, which are meant to be used with a tap or a touch, everybody expects things to be hyper intuitive, and when it comes to apps, free in many cases.
Chris?
I kind of agree with Ted. I don't think there was anything that really was shocking that was on display this year. I think really the most disruptive thing was the fight that was going on between CNET and Dish Network, where Dish Network was up for Best of Show from CNET, but because of the legal troubles they're having with CBS, they got yanked from consideration, and so that's an interesting little feud we're seeing. So there's disruption there, I guess, but in terms of technology, didn't really see anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I do think that sensorization is something that has a lot of potential. I don't know if it'll disrupt anything, but I think it'll add a very interesting layer to all the devices that we see here. You have all sorts of devices, even average normal devices like a fork with a sensor in it. And what happens is that it's connected and it's generating a ton of data about you, about me, about what we're doing, where we are, what time of day it is, all sorts of things. And so as more and more things get sensors generating data all about us, I think it creates a really interesting opportunity to create some services that can take advantage of that data and make sense of it, and then sort of anticipate what it is we're going to need or want and try to serve it up for us. So I think it creates an opportunity for a service layer with all this data that we're generating.
What's interesting about that? One of the companies that I'm working with, but this isn't the project I'm working on, iRiver, which has been known for doing MP3 players, came up. I don't know if any of us have ever gone out running and you come back from a run and you actually feel your ears pulsing because you overworked your heart. Somebody realized that it's a really good place to actually measure heart rate, blood pressure, body temperature. So they've created earbuds with this device that measures temperature, heart rate, blood pressure, everything through your ear canal.
Wow.
And transmits all that data to your iPhone and then uploads it in real time.
Yeah.
So
one other thing that I saw that's not disruptive this year but could be down the road was auto stereo 3D sets. So you don't have to wear the glasses or anything like that. It's still in the prototype phase, but a couple people are showing it here this year. Vizio said we're going to see it for retail purchase probably next year.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
actually in the healthcare space, like you were talking about the happy fork, and Ted was talking about there with monitoring blood pressure and what's going on. I mean, you couldn't spit without hitting a fitness wristband, but there were other cool innovations there too, right? Like I actually saw somebody at a kiosk set up where you could have a doctor's appointment where you're video conferencing with the doctor, so you don't have to go into the office for your checkup.
Oh,
Yeah,
very cool.
that is very cool.
And my guess
And
is they're still late to meet with you.
yeah, there's a lot of data being generated there too. And you have pill boxes that can sense when it's being opened and send a message to your doctor saying, that you're taking your medicine on time, or what time it is that you open that pill box and take your medicine, or you're being non-compliant and a bad patient because you're not taking your medicine, right? So, what about wacky? I made my little thing with the happy fork. What about you guys? What was like totally bizarre to you?
Every kind of iPad, tablet holder in the world, suction cups, things you hang around your neck, zippers. I mean, there seems to be a cottage industry on how to hold your tablet in some unique way other than just holding it in your hand. So you see all these little booths. There was an area called Eureka Park that was up on the third floor of the Venetian, where you see, a husband and wife couple that have spent every penny they have to come to try and convince Walmart or somebody to carry their suction cup iPad holder. And you want to buy one just to make them feel good that they didn't come 2,000 miles for nothing.
Scott.
Yeah, well, I saw they had robotic walkers, and they've got even kid sets now where you've got robots that you're playing with. I mean, it's crazy. Everything that could be motorized or made high-tech is. And I mean, I guess you could argue, even some of these, why do we need Android-powered cameras? I'm still a little bit mystified on that one. Like you were saying, sensors and everything, connectivity and everything. And, of course, even though we're going futuristic in some counts, if you look at the audio accessories, I mean, half of them from Crossley or Ion Audio, they're all going retro with their vibe and feel, too. Which is a little bizarre.
Chris, what do you think?
I firmly believe that if they got rid of iPhone cases and portable speakers, this show would be about a third of the current size right now. That just
totally agree.
You cannot throw a stone. You can't walk 5 steps without someone trying to throw an iPhone case in your face right now. And it's a cottage industry, as Ted said. Yeah, but at the same time, it's so much of a Me Too era out there that no one's really going to knock off an OtterBox or anything like that.
I think there was an iPad case that you could drop from a 30-story window. It's encased in concrete, guarantees not to break.
Yeah, I saw an iPhone case where they were hitting it with a hammer and a bag full of nails. I mean, hey, it's a great little tech demo, but I still don't want one.
Fair enough. That area with Apple accessories has been one of the fastest growing areas here at CES. I mean, it's the largest. It started only 3-4 years ago, and now it's just blown out into several different parts of the convention center. It's called iLounge, and some of the stuff has very interesting things in it. Soundfreak, for example, was in there. So finally, what was the most interesting person that you heard or met here at CES doing something really special?
Can I get you to repeat that, Alex? I'm sorry, the room we're in here got a little loud at the last moment.
No worries. What was the most interesting? Who was the most interesting person that you talked to or saw speak here at CES?
Okay, I think for me that's a pretty easy answer, just because I got a chance to sit down with 50 Cent and talk business with him. I know. Well, I'm a business geek, and so to talk business with him was really interesting, and to hear his thoughts about this. He has a public perception, and he's very much aware of it. You think about him as a businessman between Vitamin Water and his clothing line, and now SMS headphones. He's got a really good nose for that, and that always interests me.
Did he say something like super insightful to you that you could summarize in 10 seconds?
Could I summarize it in 10 seconds? No, probably not. But he did say it's not a matter you have to live beyond expectations. You have to diversify into fields that you're not comfortable in, and that is the way that you break through the stereotypes that are around you.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Scott?
Yeah, I
interesting
think
person?
Chris stole. I think Chris stole it from me. I was going to say Mr. Curtis Jackson himself would have to be the most interesting one of this show, and a very astute businessman. Although I guess a good second place. I mean, you could either argue Lemmy from Motorhead, right? You know, not too bad. Has a few war stories to share there, or even Steve Ballmer, who decided to crash the party and hand off the torch, right, at Qualcomm.
Yeah, yeah. And Ted, did you get to see the Qualcomm thing?
No, I didn't, but I got to tell you, the most interesting person that I got to spend time with today and watch him, I've watched him for 20 years, and he's just, it's a movie. There's a documentary there. Is Noel Lee from Monster. He's Steve
Oh,
Jobs
yeah.
meets P.T. Barnum, and
Hmm.
he wheels in on his Segway because he has some physical problems that have manifested over the last few years. But he wheels into the room, and everybody stops. And I was in a meeting with one of his product execs, and they showed me an amazing thing that's not out yet. And I said, "When does it come out?" And they said, "When Noel says it's ready to come out." So, but Noel is a bombastic version of Steve Jobs in terms of the company is very autocratic. It's his vision, and he's got some
Oh,
great people. But when he wheels in, the room stops, and all eyes go on Noel, waiting for the next thing he's going to say.
I agree. I agree. He has a degenerative nerve issue problem
Yeah.
with his legs that he supposedly got when he was a scientist at JBL, doing research on laser fusion.
Mhm.
So he spent 6 years at uh, um, the JBL laboratories, and the radiation I think just got to him. But you're right; he's an impresario, a
And
really colorful guy. But
what's really interesting to watch is this is the first show post Beats, and
yes.
the energy level in the booth. I've got to tell you, I mean, I don't work with Monster. I have no association. I've been a big fan of Knowles for a long time, but Beats retreated from the Monster fold last year. This
Hmm.
is the first show post Beats. The product line, the attention to detail, we're going to show you what the next generation of headphones is about. It's palpable in the booth that everybody is on their game and on their best behavior to deliver.
Awesome.
And
Great.
on the other end of it, there's a little cool company that I discovered about 6 months ago called Boombotics.
Hmm.
It's a little portable speaker that it's like 10 kids in a loft in San Francisco who designed this sort of it's portable speakers for skateboarders and bike riders and snowboarders and
I see a
you know,
trend here in consumer electronics that sort of caters to a specific audience, like with the GoPro. I mean, I had no idea how big GoPro was until I looked them up. It it is they have supposedly over $600 million in revenue,
Mhm.
and they make these head-mounted cameras that go in your helmet for sports enthusiasts. And the reason why they make so much money is that they also have they also have a business with law enforcement and industry and so on. But the GoPro camera for sports enthusiasts are selling really well. So you have regular products, but you tweak them just a little bit to make it more relevant to whoever's using it. That narrow demographic, and suddenly it's like boom, it sells. So any last thoughts? Each one of you gets a last word. Start with Scott.
I would say this was a year of evolution, not revolution. Not a lot of huge advancements, but some very practical ones. And the nice part is a lot of manufacturers, a lot of providers, content creators are putting the focus back on practicality, not performance. And so it's all about, hey, how can we quickly explain what we have to offer at a glance and make sure that everybody can access and enjoy it, which is great.
Awesome. Good. Chris?
I'd say it's a show where it was laying the groundwork for the next few years. We didn't see a lot of things that really made you say "wow" this year, but at the same time, the introduction of 4K and other types of technology are starting to lay seeds right now, and I think that we'll see those start to grow in the years to come.
Got it. And Ted, you get the last word.
Okay. I think it's going to be an interesting shakeout over the next year with the whole fascination with second screen apps and whether
Mm.
they end up actually creating immersive experiences or disruptive experiences, and how people actually start crafting second screen apps to enhance the experience as opposed to what do you think he's going to do next? What is he going to wear? What is she going to do? Right now, it's Wild West with it, and it's got to settle down before these are really meaningful.
Yeah, right now we just have, the promise of Jennifer Aniston's sweater to keep us interested.
Exactly.
Okay, well, thank you very much, you guys, for hanging out with us. It's great to talk to you, and thanks for your insight. Really appreciate it. Have a good rest of your CES.
You too.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.